Welcome to episode number 316 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by searching for Beyond Social Media Show. We are recording live on YouTube on July 23, 2020. A lot of things to talk about this week, as usual, including digital detectives on Reddit, professional virtual happy hours, Apple Underdogs return, reporters' newsletters, Prime Day delayed, Google My Business Management, celebrity conspiracy debunkers, Facebook dub, Yelp economic indicators, in-person events, some stats on that, and you'll want to stick around for those. But we kick it off with the best story of the week, as always, and BL always has that honor. So BL, what was the best story of the week?
Well, I really love this story. Netflix is looking for armchair detectives because they have shared a Google Drive of evidence that they didn't air in connection with Unsolved Mysteries. And they hope that Reddit users are going to work out the puzzles. And I have a link to the evidence that they're sharing. And so they brought back the series, and it quickly became one of the top 10 shows on Reddit, on Netflix. And they posted, "Hey guys, Netflix here. We've created a public drive with all the assembled evidence, case files, interviews, and video clips for each story that did not make it into the final episodes." So the show was always known for tapping fans to resolve cases. And in the past, they actually did that. So the ethics of giving amateur online sleuths this kind of ammo is kind of questionable, but it's also a natural evolution of Unsolved Mysteries. So each episode already ends with a call for viewers to contact the producers with any potential tips. So according to unsolved.com, viewers' tips have already solved over 260 mysterious cases. And in one instance, over 1,000 viewer tips came rolling in to one case about an arson fire, and they found the guy. So it's I think it's fascinating. And when I looked, I think there are now 18 Reddit groups that are on this, quest.
That's awesome. I mean, Netflix has done kind of this stuff before. They crowdsource basically from people illegally file sharing or illegally viewing their movies in other countries to find out which combination of actors and will be a hit. And that's how they got House of Cards, actually.
Really?
So this is not something new to them. It's smart. It's a PR play. It's going to earn them media.
Of course it will.
So yeah, very, very funny. I definitely want to follow that story. My best story is this local organization that I belong to called Minnesota Search Engine Marketing Association. They've been around for years, and I'm a member. And when they hold events every month they have in-person events or have had in-person events with an expert speaker on some aspect of search engine marketing or optimization. They have an annual search engine summit, which is really, really good. But obviously, in-person events have been hindered due to the pandemic that doesn't ever seem to be under control. That they've had gone virtual, and so they've started holding virtual happy hours every month, and they do it through video conferencing, obviously, but they're free, so they're open to anybody. So usually only members get to attend events, but with it being virtually, they've opened it up for everybody. And so now you too can attend a virtual happy hour. They're kind of awkward. So it starts out it's like 6 o'clock to 7:30 or something like that. It starts out the first half hour of everybody introducing themselves. It's a networking kind of thing. I mean, it's smart and everything, but it's a little bit awkward. But then they have the featured speaker, and they are always very good. So they've had two recent ones. Schema markup strategy was one of the topics, and it was Martha Van Berkel, who's a co-founder of Hunch Manifest. They create the Schema app, which is very popular for creating schema code for your websites. And then another topic was a modern look at SEO basics with Brittany Muller, who's a senior SEO scientist at Moz. And so they're all very good. And you can actually embed some of the videos in the show notes, because the whole episodes or whatever are on YouTube as well. So they're sharing them, but it's kind of fun to see people, that I know in person, but we've had people from all over the country and the world actually tune in. So very cool thing that they're doing at Minnesota Search Engine Association.
That's very fun.
Yeah.
Does everybody get drunk by the end of it?
We do. It is a virtual happy hour. It's at 6:00, so we do drink. I don't know. I haven't done a poll to find out whether everybody's drunk or not. But maybe I should judge you by some of the comments in the commenting thing.
Right. That's funny. So there's a wonderful new ad from Apple in which they bring back the Underdogs from the 2019 ad, and it's a working from home ad, and it's probably the ultimate working from home ad. And this is from an Adweek story by David Greiner, and it's hilarious. It's actually a 7-minute video, so it's not an ad exactly. And so the Underdog spot, which at that time Adweek named one of the best ads of 2019, had this ragtag team of coworkers who were racing to design a prototype for a big pitch for a top executive, and the results were better than a lot of sitcoms. So in the update, which was just released this week, there's a team that's tasked with creating a new prototype, and it's got the ominous name Pandora's Box, and it's 7 minutes long, so it's more of a short film, but it's laugh out loud funny and therefore worth your time. And so this time they have another tight deadline, a slashed budget, a litany of logistical issues, due to being scattered and they can't really see each other. And the mean finance guy appears, and you have people who are broadcasting their Zoom from their bed and their kitchen, and with kids screaming, and some are wearing pants, some aren't. And it's just like really working from home. So the ad's promoting the Apple at Work product suite, which also points out several often overlooked features, because usually with something like this, we don't learn all the features until we really need them. And that's usually when you have to make a presentation using whatever it is. So the cool thing is how real it is. And, that you're usually desperate when you're trying to learn how to use something, and it shows this whole thing. And ultimately, of course, they get the ad done, but it's hilarious.
I missed the original, so it's completely lost on me. I don't remember ever seeing the original.
Same people.
Yeah.
Only now they're working from home, and they were much more put together when they were in the office. Than nobody was in their bathrobe. Everybody had pants on.
Well, we're gonna have to include the original in the show notes too, because I feel like I'm gonna have to watch that before I watch the follow up. But
that was more of an ad. This is more of like a sitcom.
Yeah. If it worked the first time, then why not expand it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is I caught this story in Digiday. Max Willens is the reporter who is reporting on a trend of journalists starting their own newsletters. So says that just as media companies have understood the power of having newsletters, now reporters are seeing them as a tool as well to obviously communicate directly with readers. They're using them to test out new ideas and nurture their obsessions, quote unquote, in the article. But some of them are treating their newsletters as a kind of aggregator of their own work. Others use them to sound out their ideas with their readers and maybe get those ideas fleshed out and bring them back to as article ideas to pitch to their editors. A number of full-time journalists are joining Substack, That number has been growing, according to the co-founder and chief operating officer Hamish McKenzie of Substack. And then apparently the same thing is happening with the platform Review, according to their CEO Margine D. I can't pronounce the name. I'm sorry, but the article doesn't, neither of them have hard data. It's just an observation. It is an observation I've been making as well. One of my favorite of Minnesota Vikings beat reporters, Matthew Collar, worked with the local ESPN affiliate. He wrote for their website, hosted radio shows, their podcast. He was laid off as a result of the pandemic and started his own Purple Insider newsletter on Substack. It's a newsletter and a podcast. There's a free version, and it's one article a week. The podcast is really good because he's a beat reporter of the Vikings. He has all the contacts, and so he has great guests. But then you can buy a subscription version for $56 a month or $560 a month, $56 a year, $560 a month, and so it's a way for him to obviously survive. My question is, he's a very talented sports reporter, probably get picked up by somebody eventually. What happens to my subscription when that happens, right? So there's that, but I probably should buy the subscription just to support him because he's very good. But it's interesting. Substack really makes it easy for all of the e-commerce and stuff is built in, so it really makes it easy for these journalists who are fighting for their lives really with their economic situation, many of them, to earn some money on the side or build their own audience. So interesting development there.
That's really interesting, actually. I might subscribe to it. So I don't know if this should be in good news or bad news, but Amazon has delayed Prime Day, which usually takes place in mid-July. And the reason they delayed it is that their sales are so strong because of the pandemic that they don't really need any extra money, I guess. And I recently read that Jeff Bezos made like $1 gazillion in one day. So this is from a TechCrunch story by Sarah Perez. And they confirmed that they're going to hold it in India in August. So it's the first time. It's usually been a global event, and it's the first time that it's not going to take place everywhere on the same day. And it's usually July 15th to 17th, and usually sales are slower in the summer, but COVID caused a deluge of orders of stuff like household staples and medical supplies and toilet paper. So Amazon said on April 30th that it hired more than 175,000 additional people to work in their fulfillment and delivery network to meet this increased customer demand. So you can just imagine how much money is going through that place. So the overall e-commerce market is absolutely surging because of the pandemic. And eMarketer says e-commerce sales will climb by 18% in 2020 and reach $709 billion, and which is incredibly 14.5% of total U.S. retail sales. Amazon will increase its market share to 38% in this year. In other words, Amazon doesn't really need a Prime Day. It's doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they don't. I've always used Prime Day as a way to get discounts on Amazon products like their smart speakers or a Kindle or whatever, because they usually have deep discounts on those during Prime Day. But I've already got all my Amazon products, so I don't know if that's going to help very much.
I usually use it to get new sandals because that's the cheapest that they are, the ones that I like. And they're usually like $50 off. So I usually buy the same thing every year.
I just discovered there's a new feature. I use Hootsuite, as I've said many times on the show, to schedule all my social media stuff, and just discovered a new feature that I did not know existed within Hootsuite, but I came across a Hootsuite blog post that told me about it. This is from Paige Cooper's write-up at Hootsuite, and you can now schedule your post in Google My Business via Hootsuite. I didn't know it was
Oh,
possible.
that's a new one.
Yeah, so that's very helpful because I do all my scheduling within one tool. It's nice to be able to add Google My Business to that as well. So the process is simple. You verify your Google My Business profile in Hootsuite's app directory. You install Google My Business, and then you'll have a Google My Business tab on your Hootsuite dashboard. Authorize Hootsuite to access your Google My Business account for each stream. There's posts, questions, and reviews that you can get in separate streams in Hootsuite. In the post stream, you can click on Add New Post. You fill in the fields for a text, image, a call to action button, and a link, and then click Post Now, and hopefully post schedule. I haven't tried it out yet. I was so excited about this. I had to include it. I just found out about it, but I use the posts. I mean, obviously, I don't have a headquarters location where I need feet on the ground to get clients or anything. I use it to post like updates to blog posts, and you can use it for offers and everything. But a nice new addition there.
That's a really good new addition. So I am done with my good news, but I have a couple of smiles. Can I give you one of those?
Let me finish up with my good news. I got one more.
Okay.
This is John Oliver, of course. It's easy to put him in good news because he often hits it out of the ballpark, and he did it again this past Sunday with a segment, his 20-minute segment about everything you need to know about Topic X. Topic X this time was conspiracy theories. So he spent the 20 minutes deconstructing conspiracy theories about the coronavirus specifically. So he discusses why we're prone to believe in conspiracies, how to distinguish fact from fiction, what you can do to help others. But then at the end, he enlisted some celebrity debunkers or explainers of conspiracy theories. They included Alex Trebek. So he's for your grandparents if they are, you can use a video of him explaining conspiracies so that you can talk to your grandparents about it. If you have cousins that are like maybe wrestling fans or Fast and Furious fans, John Cena is one of them. Paul Rudd is another celebrity debunker. Catherine O'Hara and Billy Porter. And he put all of the segments at a special website for him called thetruetruetruth.com. We'll embed the segment in the show notes and put a link to the true truth of in the show notes as well for y'all. Now we can smile, BL.
Okay, this is so much fun. This is a Lego brick roll, and the guy goes by Dommy13, and this is to the tune of Never Gonna Give You Up, and he does a side-by-side of the original and the ones with Lego, and they're just perfect. And he said it took him several weeks to do it. He's from the UK. He has exactly 13 followers on Twitter, but I think that's going to go up. He has 30,000 views in the past week of the brick roll. It's really hilarious. And he says there are more to come. He's going to keep on doing them. So it's really fun.
That is brilliant. I didn't know I needed that in my life until just now. This is fantastic. I can't wait to use it.
I got another one you need in your life.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so this is absolutely an amazing 3 minutes of fun. This has to have taken the guy months to create. It must have taken the entire pandemic for him to create this. And the fact that he filmed it and the way that he filmed it is equally amazing. The guy's name is, the person I heard it from is Larry Smith in Serial Marketers community. And so what this guy has done, and he just goes by the name Creasy, so we don't really know who he is, but he's made the most elaborate Rube Goldberg device in the history of the world. I mean, this thing goes on and on and on and on, and it goes through the whole huge property. It goes up and it goes down. It crosses waterfalls and brooks, and I mean, it's got engines and it's got balls and it's got trains. I mean, you name it, he has it making the machine go. But it's all, you see the whole thing in 3 minutes, and it's just so much fun. You just have to watch it because it's fun, and God knows we need some fun.
Well, that was a nice interlude of smiles and happiness and everything. So of course we have to kill it with our worst stories of the week.
Of which there are plenty.
There's plenty, sure. So I'll go first with that. I'll be the killjoy. This is a Media Post article by Lori Sullivan, who reports about Yelp becoming the barometer of the destroyed local economy because of the failure to bring the coronavirus to heel. Yelp has something called the economic average report that they do quarterly, and so they've recently released new data, and I'll just cite from the report. As people began resuming common pre-pandemic activities like restaurants, bars, nightclubs, gyms across states like Florida, Nevada, South Carolina, Texas, Georgia, and others, a clear spike in the COVID-19 cases within those locations quickly followed. The Yelp data shows a statistically significant correlation between an increase in customer interest in those activities in May and an increase in COVID-19 cases in June. So you look at the data, and it's just, there's a clear correlation between people showing interest by viewing the local profiles of businesses like restaurants, bars, nightclubs, and gyms, and then the increase in those states of COVID-19 cases as well. On the flip side, some positive data out of the report, and it's a really in-depth report, so I'll put a link to the report in the show notes. There's a lot of really good data in there. But on the flip side, they show a graph for searches for Black-owned businesses, which are surging. So there's a year-over-year increase in Yelp searches for Black-owned businesses within select categories. So it has bakeries and ice cream shops are up 50% year over year. Coffee shops up, I can't read this, 161%. Restaurants are up 2,000% from year over year.
For Black-owned businesses.
For Black-owned businesses.
How
yeah.
interesting.
So very interesting stuff. We'll put a link to that in the show notes for people to check out the full report.
Well, the one that I have, there's some good things about it for sure, but Facebook has created a parallel universe known as DubDub. So Facebook engineers are using artificial intelligence to create bots who simulate the bad actors who are on Facebook in a parallel version of Facebook. And they can then study the bot's behavior in simulations and experiment with new ways to stop them. This is from a Verge article by James Vincent. So it's in worse because it's not going to be ready before the election. So it means Facebook's still allowing political ads, specifically by Trump. So anyhow, the simulator is known as WW, and they pronounce it DubDub. And I do wonder if they realized that a couple of years ago, Weight Watchers changed its name to WW. But I guess Facebook's bigger than anybody, and they can take your name if they want to. So they're going to use this new method to help them identify and prevent harmful behavior like users who spread spam, who scam other people, who buy and sell weapons and drugs, because that happens a lot on Facebook. And it's being led by a Facebook engineer whose name is Mark Harmon, and their AI department that's in London. So Harmon told journalists that DubDub was a hugely flexible tool, and it could be used to limit harmful behavior on the site, and he gave the example of using the simulation to develop new defenses against scammers, because scammers have specific behavior, like they go and they look at your friends and then they kind of figure out something about you before they try to scam you. So simulating behavior that you want to study is not uncommon, because that's what machine learning is used for. But DubDub's notable because the simulation is actually based on a real version of Facebook. They call its approach web-based simulation. And so in traditional simulation, where everything is simulated, it's different because the actions and the observations are taking place through the real infrastructure, and they're much more reliable, according to Harmon. But it's not a visual copy of Facebook, it's the code. So instead of records of all interactions, they'll be seen as numerical data and the engineers can read it. But this is really interesting. Each bot is trained to have a different personality, with some more likely to commit scams and others more likely to fall for them. And then the bots simulate interaction with each other, and those are recorded numerically. So right now it's in the research phase, and Harman said he expects it to be in use by the end of the year. Too late, because the election's in November. It can't model user intent, for example, and it can't simulate complex behaviors, but Facebook says it can. This is so creepy. Search, make friend requests, leave comments, make posts, and send messages, but the actual content isn't simulated like the content of a conversation. They just, well, I guess, start it. So, you know, like so much of what Facebook does, it's very creepy.
It sounds like
Black Mirror.
Well, it kind of sounds like what Cambridge Analytica was doing with the psychological profiling of individuals. Yeah, I don't know.
But now they're taking it further because they're going to interact with the people.
Yeah. Well, you know, if they can create a parallel Facebook universe in which Donald Trump was not elected, I would join that in a heartbeat.
You know, my father is of the opinion that Trump is going to win by 0.5 point. I said, please don't say that to me again. So do you have any more bad news?
I don't, but I got a shiny object.
I do too. Go ahead.
This is, so we've talked about this quite a bit. Episode 71, first mention. Episode 257, the second mention. The last mention was episode 272 when we talked about Uber Suggest 4.0 because it continues to be improved upon. So Uber Suggest, of course, is the free keyword research tool by Neil Patel. And back when episode 272, he teased in that blog post of the new features that he would be coming out with a Chrome extension for Uber Suggest. Well, the Chrome extension has arrived. It's now available. Yes. So you use it when you're searching Google. It provides inline data within a set of search results. So as you're looking at the search results based on the keyword search that you use for that set of search results, it gives you the average monthly searches, average cost per click. People also search for search metrics that you can export, the domain score for each of the links that are included in that search result, the estimated domain traffic for that link, the number of social shares for that link, and then at the bottom there's always the related searches, and those two have metrics as well. So at a glance, you looking at the search results, you can see all kinds of data. It's hugely useful. And this tool actually you can use in conjunction with my pro tip, which you'll have to stick around for to hear about later.
Okay. Well, I found a very good Wired story of the 15 best Mac apps to make your everyday life better. And it has apps for better user experience, your experience, for better writing, for better viewing, for organizing, and a lot more. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes, but there's some really good things in there. Some are free, some are paid.
Very cool. We're on to politics. I'm going to leave that all up to you.
Okay, well, Randy Rainbow has a new one, and it's one of the best yet, and all of his are really pretty good. This one is called Dear Dr. Fauci, and I'll just read you a little bit of the lyrics. Dear Donald, you're satanic. You should have stayed in Queens. While we're in full-blown panic, you're hawking friggin' beans. Wear your mask and just shut up. And then this is from a CNN story by Chris. Oh boy, I hope I can pronounce this name. Cillizza. We need a producer to help us with this stuff. What?
Cillizza.
Cillizza by Chris Cillizza. And this, the cognitive test that Trump keeps bragging about, how he passed it, it's not what he thinks it is. It doesn't mean what he thinks it means. It's a test used to diagnose, among other things, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and schizophrenia. And you can take a look at the test site where it says all of that. So he says, but Cillizza says, okay, so let's start here. Trump appears to be misremembering when he took the test. The last time Trump was at Walter Reed was in November 2019 as part of that unscheduled trip in the middle of the night for a quick exam that we never heard about. That was part of part one, he said, of his annual physicals. And the Washington Post reports that the test that Trump took is called the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, or MoCA for short. You can take a look at it yourself. It's not what it's not is something that will tell you about your intelligence or your ability to lead the United States through the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, well, he's quite obsessed with talking about how he aced the test. That
as if you could ace the test.
Yeah. Anyway.
But just so you know, right before the show, they canceled the GOP convention in Florida.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, right, because he's worried about getting COVID. And meanwhile, you can send your kid back to school as a guinea pig to see if it gets COVID or brings it home or kills the teacher.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried so much about getting COVID as because,
nobody will come.
He would have got it by now. Exactly. Nobody will come to the he's worried about empty seats is what he's worried about.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's my pro tip. This comes from PR Daily's Chris Dickey, who the title of the article is "Stronger PR is Hidden in Keyword Data," and I'm like, I've been saying that for years.
Of course.
So he starts out with one of the, I'm just going to say from the article, we all realize that reporting on print circulation, unique visitors per month, or social following tells a small part of the story. While these may be the best numbers we have as PR people, they don't speak to how many people saw an article or if those readers were even qualified customers. As for equivalent ad value, it's hardly ever equivalent. Correct. Advertising is a game of wheel and deal, and no one pays the sticker rate. Rarely does a PR placement match the dimensions or brand focus of an equivalent ad. And you can't measure how many people ignore ads, and I mean it's completely inaccurate. So how to start? This is his methodology. Type in some general keyword phrases related to your client's project. Let's say it's best running shoes 2020, and then see what links are on the first page of results. And from there, you can develop, he suggests, a PR roadmap of which writers and publications Google rewards with top search results, and then build relationships with those people. And you can use the Google Uber Suggest Chrome extension as your keyword research tool to do this type of research. You can get search traffic, search data, number of monthly searches, traffic data, click-through data, and then look at your results and compile the data, and you can have a relatively accurate, certainly better than traditional PR metrics report for your client.
Traditional PR metrics are ridiculous, but and that advertising equivalent has always been my favorite ridiculous one. But it seems clients seem to like it.
Yeah, well, anything that makes it simple for, I mean, you can see why it has lasted so long. Is it is something that I mean, it's a simple explanation for clients, and if they're reporting it up the chain, the big number is always good.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm done. How about you?
Let's go on with the daily numbers then, or the weekly numbers. Yes, the daily numbers. This is in-person events. We talked about that in several episodes and had the debate about when in-person events would resume. This is some fresh data on that. It's from Marketing Land's Henry Powderly, who reports on a survey of 300 marketers respondents on average gave the prospect of attending an in-person event at a 3 out of 10 chance through the end of the first half of 2021. I can't remember what we said, BL. I think it was basically when the vaccine would come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows when that's going to be?
Well, and we could have a whole conversation about that and whether that's going to be safe and what they consider okay to test on us and what the long-term effects of it might be and blah, 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 which in my opinion brings us into 2022 for in-person events, if ever.
Yeah, never mind that maybe half of the population will refuse to take a vaccine because of conspiracy.
Right, they're going to have what? A chip in their brain? Is that what they're worried about?
They're worried about a lot of things. Yeah, like falling off the edge of the earth. Some more.
Flat, you know.
Yes. Nearly 70% of the respondents said they would only attend online events until a COVID-19 vaccine is produced. But 81% said they had already attended a virtual event in the past 3 months. I mean, pretty much everybody has by this point, right? Even more encouraging to organizers is that 75% of the respondents say they were satisfied with their virtual event experiences. And I got to say, I think, the ones that I have attended have been pretty good. One of the things I've noticed that people are doing with virtual events is they're having the speakers pre-record their presentation, but then be present throughout their presentation to answer questions or interact with the audience in real time. So that's interesting development that I hadn't thought would happen, right?
Well, if only we could get our invitations, we could be practicing that.
Right.
I mean, I let them know that we talked about them, but they didn't respond. What can I tell you? That brings us to the end of episode 316 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And you can just find us by searching Beyond Social Media Show. Links to everything we've discussed today, including the videos we referenced and the original articles we referenced, will be in our show notes at beyondsocialmediashow.com/316. Please let us know what you think. And I'm here, of course, with David Erickson, and he is D. Erickson on Twitter, D.E. Erickson on Instagram. He's on YouTube as eStrategy, and his wonderful blog is e-strategyblog.com. I'm BL Ochman. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. My blog is What's Next Blog. My YouTube channel is What's Next Blog. I'm at blochman.com and Lucy the Rescue Puppies on Instagram. And the show, again, beyondsocialmediashow.com. And on Twitter, we're at BS Media Show because we don't always take ourselves seriously. And you can find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. And we hope you'll come and find us, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
See you next week. Thanks for watching.